Okay, everyone, I have to show you something that you're not going to believe. I came across a prophet from Argentina that is talking about everything that we're talking today. And I think that the reason that he's not more famous is just because 2 years ago, this would have been crazy. This would have been like I wouldn't believe some things like I believe today that I wouldn't believe like 4 months ago. So I feel like nothing. It's just my responsibility to share the message. Language, English is not my first language, and I don't know how to do a fancy video. I'm just like spreading the word, and I invite you to look him up and spread the word as well. So the reason how I bumped into him is because I was looking for Javier Milei. Everyone was talking about Javier Milei being the gray man, the gray man. And when I go look for the prophecy of the gray man, I found that the prophet actually wrote 1,000 sketches, not only one about Millet, but like 1,000 sketches, and they were all related to United States, UK, the family, the future, like UFOs, AI, what's gonna happen with AI, and so many things more that I was grabbing my hair. I was like, oh my god, like I cannot believe this. It was so, and the drawings and the symbols and everything is so crazy, like accurate. Like I couldn't believe my eyes. I couldn't believe my eyes. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna put you the drawing that he did, because the way like he gets the message at the beginning was voices, and then like his hand just started like drawing. So he made a lot of drawings, and then there's a bio on the bottom in Spanish, and I put the translation in English. But I'm showing you everything just in case like you find a symbol, or you find something that relates to something that you know, or you want to find your own translation, or you want to find your own interpretation. So, well, the prophecy of Millet is right here. At the beginning, I didn't believe it, because it said that the important month was going to be May, but now he's signing like a new constitution in May, in the Pacto de Mayo, in a new treaty that he's doing in May. So a lot of coincidences here with Javier Milei, coming from a non-political environment and creating a French Revolution in Argentina, and well, all the drawings that he did regarding Javier Milei. So this is how I go and look for Benjamin Solari Parravicini, and here you see like a little bit like the drawings that he makes and how he wrote on the bottom like what it was about. The crazy thing is like he was from 1898 to 1974, so some of the things that he's talking about, you have to understand he comes from a very traditional family in Argentina, Buenos Aires, and some of the things he's predicting, like there has like he had nobody had no clue of what was coming, and today they're like so common things of every day. So that's why I think like it was so important for me to come here and tell you about it. So like as an example, I'm not going to go through all the things that he already predicted because that's on the past and we have so much to go through. But an example is IVF, having babies in laboratories and being able to choose the sperm to create like the baby that you want. Also, a lot of the drawings that I found, like they're very similar to what he drew, and that was just a coincidence. I didn't look online for a million pictures, like it just happened to be like that. Another thing that he predicted is that the freedom of America would lose its light, its torch will not shine as it did yesterday, and the monument will be attacked twice. So we know this is true. Buenos Aires will be governed by military people. That already happened. That was true. Then, even the drawing here, if you see that lady on this drawing, cannot look like similar. And he said that sexual contact will decrease, which is crazy today with Tinder and all the apps. But it's true. This is what's happening because men reject the masculine women, and the masculine women reject the feminine man. He makes a lot of slides about the traditional family, but I'm not going to get into that. This is just an example of how he predicted in a very traditional society, which Argentina and Buenos Aires today is still a very traditional society. So for him to talk about this back then, It's a lot. And I put this one here because a lot of people don't wanna see, don't wanna look, don't wanna hear. Um, oh, well, conspiracy theories, I don't wanna know. The new earth, I don't wanna know. Politics, I don't wanna know. I don't wanna get involved. I just wanna live my life, and you know, they just don't want to. And there's so much going on that if we don't, pay attention now, later can be too late. So yeah, this video actually covers everything for everyone, even if you go to church, if you're a conspiracy theorist, if you believe in a new earth, in meditation, whatever it is, like this, there's something that's going to be relevant for you. This, I don't know if you've already they don't have timelines sometimes, so if this is like happened or happening or gonna happen, but he says the dragon that was silent, the yellow dragon that was silent, is gonna be awake. The bear also, and then he says the humble Democrat will come, who never was, and poverty will come with him, and the three of these will start explosions and disintegration. So maybe just a coincidence. I don't know. I'm just passing the message. Also, I'm not gonna read all the stuff. You can, pause it and do your own reading and conclusion and analyze the drawings by yourselves. Um, this one blew my mind. The machine will displace and replace humans. Humans will starve. Well, they will succumb to hunger is the correct translation, but the concept is clear. He says that the wars in the Middle East without rest will tone the finals of in 666 or 66. He sometimes talks about the era of 66 and sometimes 666. Also, in most of the drawings, there's like this little like circle. Oh, here you see the world in 666. I just saw that this circle over here. So that reminds me of a logo that you're gonna see here in the presentation later. There's going to be death, pests, and disasters rising upon the materialistic humanity, cataclysms. We've been hearing about this. Okay, so this one blew my mind too. No one in the world looks at the back of things. There, they prepare to invade. So I think the back of things, if I think of the back of things, I say made in China, the sticker that's behind everything that we have. And then he has like he put like a drawing of a dragon, and it says chaos arrives. It says it was said yesterday, and today chaos arrives and science arrives. It says the east will be fishing for opportunities, but they will be the fish, which makes me very sad to see all this. He talks about extraterrestrial beings, but then he like he mentions the words intraplanetary. Starting bottom up, he says that the ugly and the monstrosity of aliens is a human fantasy. It does not exist. They're just beings that are not visible to our retina because they move so fast. So now we're going to be able to see them and talk to them. We've been hearing about this, but basically that they are already here. New organism will resurface as insects and diseases because the ice is melting. He did not mention anything about global warming, but he did say that the poles are shifting, and this is why all this is happening. As I said, there are like 1,000 sketches. I'm just making a summary here. But with the ice melting, of course, like there's a lot of like microbes that are gonna come to surface. About the Caribbean, I don't know what he means, but the alligator will bite and cause destruction. But when I read that the satellites will fall per the yellow, when everyone's talking about cyber attacks and that China is hacking and cybersecurity and all these things, I was like, okay. I mean, this was on 1939 that he says this. So the fact that I'm reading it today, it's a little coincidental to say the least. He says that the atom will take over the world. Basically, we believe that our reality is made of atoms. I think that's what he means. I hope it's that and not nothing nuclear. The world will be atomized, will become blind. Storms will fall for messing with the atmosphere. I don't know if you know about Project HARP and how they're messing with the atmosphere, like creating rains, fires, or not to rain, or modifying the weather, like in Dubai or over here, United States, or different parts of the world. But they're doing it. They're changing the weather. So with this, also, if they can change the world like this, I don't know what they're talking about climate change, but anyway, um, there's gonna be new diseases, switch genders, and social psychosis. I see all of this happening today, and the world will go dark. Why the world will go dark? Because they're messing with the atmospheres, and there's gonna be a lot of storms. So in another slide it says like because they're messing with they're doing this, the sun will go dark, the world will go dark because of the sun flare storms that they're being provoked by our modification of the weather. It says the English will become communist. I also heard a lot of predictions like this is going to be the last king and there's not going to be any more royalty. And at the beginning, because I read these slides many times because I was preparing this presentation, and at the beginning, when I read for the first time, I thought like a lot of the predictions talked about wars. But then I realized that he may be talking about socialism against like capitalism, because you can interpret a lot of the slides like that. For example, I mean, I'm going to show you as we go through, but I feel like the North, like North America and Europe, it's been tinted a lot by neo-Marxism and a lot of like left influence, and he talks a lot about that. There's also a lot of references to fishman and fishes and drawings of fishes. And if you go to the beginning of times, there's been like the man fish, like these two men covered with fish. It's a thing. I just don't know what it is. Like over here, I'm also circling the fish with the cross. And he says, London, the island is sinking. A lot of things sinking, by the way. Um, it will fall with the cursed gold. Well, we all know the story behind the gold in the UK. He says, damn gold, like bad gold, just in case by crypto. He also says that communism will begin in America when so there's like a line of mountains between Chile and Argentina. So when that shakes, when there's an earthquake there, communism will begin here in United States. We don't know when this is. When I read this, I was says crisis, the stock market on the ground. The American millionaire will no longer be. So we call the American Shanky. He says the millionaire Shanky will no longer be. He says touristic Cuba will be raised by disasters. There's going to be a lot of blood and fire and death, and then nothing, which makes me greatly, very, very sad. The center of Americans will light up. I mean, fire. I put the fire. The Americans will light up, burn. And I put burn because he mentions a lot about burning and smokes, which that could be interpreted by the wars, like the big smoke, the first smoke, the second smoke, and the third smoke. The Caribbean will succumb. And I don't know if you know this lady. The drawing is a mere coincidence, like the hand and everything, but she was the president of Argentina for a long time, for a decade. And I'm being nice by saying president because she was a dictator, but not official. We call ourselves democracy, but half of the people worked, half of the people didn't. Um, Impulse of like social justice and all these flags of communism. And it says Argentina will have its French Revolution in triumph. You can see blood on the streets if you don't see the moment of the gray man. But we did see the moment of the gray man with Javier Milei and this revolution. So far, so good. We're on month 4, and he already balanced the budget and all these things, and the people haven't been very violent. You see the drawing with her with like no heart. Argentina will be in trouble without being there because it heard what it later understood and and threw away. They threw away the system. So what I read this a couple of times, and what I understand is like Argentina, it was in trouble without being there. So without being officially communist, without being officially socialist, they were in big trouble. Like there was a lot of inflation, crime, and all these bad things happening. But then we heard and we later understood. Now we're in the moment that we're hearing. Not everyone understands Millet because he's a professor of economics and he's trying to teach people a different mindset and teach people basic economics. Like this is the first time in history we have someone talking about numbers and percentages, and we were used to being like all like social talk and getting pats on the back and like this female culture, not female because there was a female president, but like maternal culture where like we want to be patted on the back and be told that everything was going to be okay and that we care for others and like all this speech but no action. So Millet is like numbers, 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 like don't talk nothing, like that we cannot like is he's just like a data guy, just data. And it became the conversations way less toxic for what I see like in the TV and debates. We're not just like playing with words, it's just like data, hard data. And it's been very refreshing. And it says it will be in triumph. So he says we heard, then we understood. I think we understand it, and we're throwing away like the old system. It says the middle class will save Argentina. Its triumph will be in the world. I do believe like we are already going out in the world a lot. We're going to start importation and exportation, and at a great cost of the middle class. They always been working so hard for the other half of the people that didn't work, but hopefully they'll make it through. It says the Americas will bleed, Europe will bleed later. So the first conflict will be in America, then Europe, and every idea will see a sun of light. America will see the truth, and Argentina will be light. So I also think because Argentina already been through that system, and it's gonna show the world like to revert it or get out. Hopefully, America will see the truth. And honestly, when Milei won, I couldn't believe it. And I do see like left influence, a lot of left influence tinting North America and Europe. And I suddenly see like, wow, Argentina, the same way as El Salvador, are becoming lights of the world, lights of freedom. And yeah, we're the candle or the but it's not gonna come. It says it's not gonna come without a struggle first, unfortunately. Light Russia and Japan. The Americans will bleed. It did put Japan in the mix. I did hear some predictions for Japan, but I'm gonna leave it at that for now. Argentina will suffer the storm in a small way. So I don't think this storm was small. I think it's big. It was big. Like a lot of people. were hungry, like 60% of the people are hungry, are not considered poor today in Argentina. But what he means is like we were not Cuba or Venezuela yet, although we're right there. But I think this is what, like what it meant, like in a smaller way. And then this storm, this same storm, I think the socialist storm will hit the rest of the world, and Argentina will be the example of how to get out. And we have seen in very like few months Millet being the example at CPAC or like Davos and all these other conferences. I mean, this will make sense on this context, and this is my interpretation. You do have the words there for you to interpret like with your own way. It could be an actual storm. It could be an actual like storm. At the beginning, when I read it the first time, I thought it was a storm, like a hurricane or something like this. But then I realized, like when I put all the other slides together, he's talking about this movement. I think so. Argentina would be Samaritan of the world. This is not the first time that this will happen. During the First Great War, a lot of Europeans came to Argentina. That's why you have a lot of people that are Italian and Spanish and all this or German. And we provided food for the rest of the world. So it's saying like as there's going to be conflicts in the north, in Europe and USA and the Caribbean, when everyone's burnt, like when everyone went through all this, like the survivors are going to make it through South America, and Argentina is going to open their arms. It's going to receive them with open arms, with land and food, which I totally see that happening. It already happened. If they don't mess with the weather over there too, I think I do see like that could be a good option. Argentina has all the resources, and then he mentions Brazil, Chile too, like South America. Then it's on another slide. It's just say that Argentina will brother up, like will bond with all the surrounding countries, and they will form a very strong union. I think because one has what the other one doesn't. And when you see like if you see the world suffering so much, like I'm assuming like anyway, it says understand Argentina understood. Like this is crucial because they wouldn't understand. Like when we were in the middle of the previous mandate, like people were so aggressive. People were not like you couldn't talk about politics without getting aggressive. It would be like the sky is red, but the other one's like, but it's blue. I'm seeing it right now, and they would be getting like it was a lot. But I think they're understanding now like what is economy, and we need resources to administrate, and it's not just a pat on the back. It's also administration, pure administration. And Millet is talking about that. He's not trying to win nobody's sympathy. He's just not trying to be a good guy. He's trying to be a good administrator. And we'll see how it goes. It says Argentina is rich because they have love. And I'm gonna pause here because one thing I learned growing up on this crisis, on a country on perpetual crisis, was that no matter what, they were always fine. But because they had community, and they create community and going to the club and playing soccer and playing rugby and playing and having the same classmates all throughout like uh, high school and middle school, and created bonds and friendships is very important. It's not acceptable for someone to be alone. Like they go in groups, and there's a lot of charity because everyone's going through a tough time, and they all bond and they get together every weekend and they talk for hours, and it's very important, the social life. So I do invite you, like if you're in an area that people don't socialize, go outside on the street. I walk sometimes in the streets in the US and nobody's walking around. Go around, walk around, bond, because when difficult times come, like a lot of people here, when there was a lot of money, they didn't care because yeah, you can hire a nurse or you can do this or do that, but having community, it's important. So yeah, to the best of our ability, right? So this light, I thought he was talking to me. This is how I felt it, because it says pilgrim or person that walks. I don't know how to translate it. You who are looking, you who observe, go to the beach, go to the Argentinian beach. There awaits peace. Lighthouse of lighthouses. So yeah, because whoever is wondering where to go, where it's going to be safe when the 666 hits, well, he's telling me right here, like, this is the question I had, like, what place is safe. Although overall South America is going to be very safe. He talks about Neuquén, which is an area of Argentina, and La Pampa, which is another area of Argentina, which is going to be very safe. Then he says like a lot of giant vegetables are gonna show up in the north of Argentina, because with extraterrestrial help or interplanetary help, as like the countries, start being hungry, and the famine starts, Argentina is gonna get these huge crops that they're gonna feed the world. There's so many slides, to be honest. Like, I couldn't put everything here, but it says the song of the humble song will not be sung in the burning lands. It will be in Argentina in union. Okay, so he says like there's certain beings that are gonna come here. I don't know, interplanetary, extraterrestrial, angels, whatever you wanna call it. And it says like they're not gonna, like, Argentina is gonna comply with their singing and their chants. So they're gonna they're gonna be saved, basically. The Argentine is and will be in love because he knows how to sing and see God. In another slide, it said Argentina has everything because they have love. I just mentioned that. So Mexico, Cuba, Venezuela, chaos. This could be at any time in point in history. To be honest, I don't know. Beings will be telepathic with the passage of times. If you're following the new earth and all this increasing consciousness or whatever, of course, if you increase your consciousness, like, you're gonna develop new abilities. It just comes with the territory, and this brings no surprise to me in particular. Darwin's theory will cease to exist because it will be known that the man came down from the planets. And actually, I put this picture of the avatar way before I actually came to the conclusion that they look exactly like us. But we'll see now. We'll see now. The rest of the story. Epoch of 666. The era of contradiction arrives. Honestly, I just Googled like random number, symbol or something to put some color because it was so boring, the presentation. And this came up. But if you start learning symbols, you're going to see these symbols everywhere. Like, nobody's going to fool you once you know the symbols. Even what's happening today in Haiti, it's a symbol. Anyway, so you see the 666 on the UN office. You see it everywhere. If you know symbols, you are literate. Nobody's gonna be able to fool you. So, blind world, the world in the seduction of evil will fall. I'm just gonna leave it at that. If you wanna pause and give it a minute, because this is one sentence that's quite strong. Um, Hunger will be with a yellow, brown, and black finger. I would just wonder if that's a weapon. Yellow, brown, and black finger that will destroy continents. Yeah, it sounds like it's some kind of weapon. I hope no continents are destructed. I hope nothing of this is true. This is for entertainment purposes only. I should have said that at the beginning. I hear that a lot. I should say something like that, right? I don't know. I don't do videos for a living. I just wanted to share this one video. It says the angry exterminator will arise, and the explosion of 1,000 explosions will deafen and the sun will fall. Oh, here is where the sun will fall. We heard this many times. And or solar flares, or that the sun is going to be covered for a couple days, or whatever it is. In many different versions, we heard this. Just in case when this happens, just stay inside, don't go anywhere, close the windows, and follow the protocol of the handbook. And the angry exterminator, if you tell me there's an angry exterminator, I believe you now. I wouldn't have believed you like before COVID. I think this is the reason why this guy is not everywhere, just because before COVID, nobody was thinking about this stuff at all. Souls in the dark, yeah, they can't see. The world will go towards death. Okay, so once everything goes dark, I feel like a lot of people are gonna die because they don't know farming, they don't know minerals. Like everyone's so obsessed with protein, but they don't know minerals. They don't know about the ocean. Like look at the ocean today, crying. Like all these fish dying, shrimps, like thousands of shrimps, dead shrimp appearing on shore. All the sharks in Miami. All these things happening, like the orcas attacking boats and killing people. Like the ocean is trying to tell us something, and no, everyone thinks like it's one isolated thing and one isolated thing, but they don't put it together. It's like the fires, or they don't see it's just one isolated event. But I think like looking at the bigger picture, the ocean is something's going on down there. Anyway, the interplanetary traveler is going to try to announce the chaos, but it will not be understood. What a surprise. And this at the I recorded this video once before, and I realized later what it meant. I didn't think this slide was important. It says two astronautical beings will arrive in Russia. Two astronautical beings will arrive in space. Beings will come to the world. They will be seen, and it will be said, they are the ones who they came to populate the world yesterday. So you remember that avatar and how the Darwin theory is going to fall because we're going to learn that we come from another planet. I personally, for what I could put this puzzle together, apparently interplanetary beings look exactly like us. They came many years, I mean, to the beginning of time to populate this planet. And that would make a lot of sense with everything. But yeah, they look like us. So this is why on another slide he says extraterrestrial beings looking like monsters. It's a human fantasy. They look exactly like us. And this is actually bringing up in my head another theory that I'm just gonna continue here. Astral thinking brains will come to Earth and help you, which is great. One good news: a lot of noise, um, noises in the carriage, noises in men, because it's our turn in the punishment. I think it's talking about Armageddon, but not ultrasound weapons. I do want to mention that he talks a lot about time and the hour 10, the hour 11, 12. I did not get the time references. He says time is everything. In the case we are on some kind of jail system or holographic reality or whatever, the clock is it's everything. The clock, it's like but it's too much for me right now. I think that would be a completely different presentation because it's way too deep. But anyway, there's a lot of theories that talk about Tartaria or Atlantis. They're not the same, but I'm just saying that there's a lost civilization that was more advanced from ours. I've seen maps where Tartaria was there, just because I'm scrolling online, not because I'm looking for that, but I did hear about this. So, for whoever believes in Tartaria, here you go. This guy confirms it. There's an earthly civilization that has been lost. Again, with the amphibious interplanetary ship, uh, they say that we're gonna find habitable channels in the interior of Earth, and we can go from the South Pole and appear back in the North Pole in moments. I did hear that there are civilizations living like inside the Earth, but I have no idea about it. Again, just scrolling online, which is funny because I'm scrolling online and I'm listening all these theories that they seem so crazy. And this guy in 1930 says like all this stuff, and nobody talks about him. This is a little. I mean, it's worth at least analyzing or hearing it. I'm not saying like this stuff is true, but it's kind of like too much. Okay, he says the world will crave the astronaut mask. And my first thought was about like this Apple mask that you see on this picture. This Apple Vision, and I don't know, whatever you want to call it. But then I went back to the slide of Russia about the astronaut man coming to Russia, because it says they will bow and worship. So I don't think they're going to bow and worship like this technology, but it's going to be the people, the astronaut people. And just imagine, like he just saw the vision. He doesn't know what it is. It's probably something that looks like an astronaut, but we don't know. But anyway, when war comes, these regions of the world will be devastated. And he also talks about the man bird, and I put there the man bird for you to understand how long it's been. If you see in the drawing he did, you're gonna see another fish. Awesome. And if you are scared about AI, buckle up. In 1971, he says, cybernetics, technological form of power, will be murderers of man upon arrival of crying. So if I read it in Spanish, which is a little bit easier, what I understand is that when AI is able to cry, they will be able to kill humans. But it doesn't say like they're gonna be the end of the world and they're gonna kill everyone or whatever. It says like they're gonna be capable of murdering us. They already have like their freedom. That's how I read it. Again, you can that it's your interpretation. Okay, electronic music will be synced with dark music. I personally never liked clubs. You have to be very careful with music. I know that much. There's a theory that they're changing 432 for 440 hertz. They're affecting people, society by these low vibrations and playing with the sound, because sound is everything. The word God created with the world, right? We do mantras, we do chanting, we do affirmations, we do prayers. It's the word that it has the power. So, and music vibration, even theories like with the sound you can lift stones up, and very like sound is everything. So anyway, that the sync is it's synced with dark music. So anything that's computer generated, I wouldn't trust it. And after everything I've been seeing lately, I wouldn't even go to a music concert, to be honest. Like there's so much going on right now. For me, no thank you. The uncapped desire of power will lose and the world. Hmm. I do feel like I'm trying to look at the drawing right now and make something out of it. Is that a snake? No. But anyway, I do remember the original scene with this. We know this. We know this is our fatal sin, our ego. So time marks the end of the world. Again, I saw one time a psychic talking about Alice in Wonderland and saying how the position of these three guys that were rotating all the time had some meaning. I did not understand. As I said, this time thing exceeds me. Like I do understand socialism, social constructs, and all these things, culture, but not this. Hunger. Charity needs to arrive in order to save the world. So, and this is what I say: create communities, walk outside, and bond, because yeah, that's what it's going to save the world. And in Argentina and all these countries, there's so much charity that it makes sense for me to understand that they're going to save other people. It's just on their DNA. That's how they are. So church will go wrong, their steps and their leaders will falsify it. I'm not going to get into this, nothing related to the church, because no, I do feel like there's more to what we know, and I'm for sure that they have like hidden scriptures and hidden documents, and even more teachers that come down and give messages, like they giving us like all these prayers, updated prayers, and we just continue doing what we did like 2000 years ago. No, there's been a lot of like, they've been trying to send so much help through prophets or mediums or the virgin, whatever, like whatever you want to call it or name it. There's a lot going on, and I feel like there's more that we don't know and we don't see. And they do talk about the story, like what's going to happen with the church, but as I said, if you want, pause it and read it. I don't want to get into it. um, it says marriages will decrease and lovers will be admired. Men will always allow, so the women will be seducing the men, but the men will always allow seduction. And the kindness will disappear from the world. So gonorrhea and diseases will return in 666. Drink baking soda. That kills everything, all the pests. That's all I can say. Demonic era will be the era of the hour. Hour of peace will come to this. Hour of peace will come to this to demonstrate the existence of Christ. So there's a lot going on in here. If you're following any of the threads regarding Hollywood or whatever, there's too much to dive into. But basically, for those who, if there's one, there's the other. So if there's that, then Christ too. But that's all I'm going to say. And the X, please note this. Go look for this. Go look for the concert of Madonna with the X, and then think of all the things that have an X. The new disease X, and I'm just gonna leave it at that for now. It says Christ returns, but note that in the drawing, Christ is the sun and is dividing on the sun rays. They're dividing the word Christ, and then on the pictures, you're always gonna see Christ with the Son of God, the Son, the Son of God, the Son. And I'm gonna leave it at that again. I'm just sharing the message for you to do your own interpretations. I'm sure this will mean a lot of things for different peoples. I do see symbols that repeat, and this is something to analyze. For example, now I'm seeing the wings on this person, or something that is announcing that Christ returns. Falling angel, I don't know. Anyway, understanding the Holy Scriptures will prevail at the end of time. It will be the north and salvation. It will be peace and unification of churches. Hmm. Unification of churches. That sounds like a one world. I hope it's not part of the one world government and it's more like understanding that the scriptures are the same in different languages and different times and eras. And there's been a lot of mankind adaptations and like understanding that God is God. But I don't know. Also, if you're desperate and you're worried about the end of the world, the Bible is a code. You can believe it or not. You can have another religion. I don't know, whatever religion you can, but the Bible is a code and it's a handbook. Let's say you're playing a game and this is a holographic reality or whatever it is, the fact that you believe. That's the handbook. That's all I'm going to say again. Anyway, faith. The world will go searching without seeing. I see so much today people searching and searching online for answers, so many spiritual gurus and so many stuff. You'll always come back to zero. And it will fall and rise with the Virgin. Some people say it's Virgo, the sign Virgo. Some people say it's Mother Earth or the four elements of the world, the feminine, and then, or the Virgin Mary. So this can be anything to you. There's a moon behind her. So, yep. Again, this is up to your interpretation, but that's all for now. Again, you can Google his name and the PDF is gonna be there, but it's gonna be in Spanish. But you can use Google Translate the way I did it. And yeah, help me subscribing so I can buy my house off the grid and wait for all of you down here in Argentina. Thank you and have a good day.